Commission, the regular City Commission meeting, which has been duly posted for today, June 2nd at 5:30 p.m. to order, and call upon Commissioner Mesmar to lead us in an invocation, please.
Holy God, holy, mighty, holy, immortal, have mercy on us, O dear God. Please shine the light of love. Continue to shine the light of love upon us, and that may we, in return, always shine the light of love, the agape, upon you. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen.
Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to welcome everybody to our meeting tonight, whether you're listening in through our live stream or being here in person. We appreciate your participation. And so the next item is citizen communication input. Do we have any citizen communication for this meeting?
Citizens communication, yes, Mayor, we do.
Okay.
The first one is Ron Lang, 204 Parkview Circle, amending city manager's contract and term limits, and he would like to be called.
Okay.
Hello?
Hello, Mr. Lang. This is Amanda Lizondo, City Secretary with the City of Harlingen.
Yes, ma'am.
And you signed up for public comments. You have 2 minutes, and I will let you know when you can start. You may start now.
Thank you. So the first point, as far as amending the city manager's contract, it's my contention that the city of Harlingen doesn't necessarily have a tax base that would support a salary that high for a city manager. And on top of that, we, with the population that we have, don't believe that we have projects that would warrant paying someone that much as a city manager. At the same time, I feel like there's been time, enough evidence to show that there hasn't been anything to move the city forward to warrant that amount of money. In terms of the other agenda item that I signed up to speak on, the term limits, on the surface, I believe that it is a good idea for term limits, but then to look at it, we have to have a participation base to, if we have commissioners that are doing a good job and staying on top of things and their term limit ends, do we have a supply to replace them? Do we have the participation within the community to step in and overtake some of these projects that have begun under some of these? So I feel like maybe we need to do some more research on having term limits and when those term limits should be set. But I appreciate your time. I yield the rest of my time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Mayor, the next one is Mary Alice, 1714 La Paloma Avenue, and she would like to be called. It's on item 14. Let's see, item 14.
Amanda,
Yes.
would you mind, like, I can't hear, I'm having trouble hearing, can you put it a little bit louder, like to the microphone?
Oh, this one, sir, or what?
No, when you put on the phone,
Oh, okay, yes,
thank you.
Let me see, that's all. Okay, item 14 is discussion, consideration, and possible action, if appropriate, to amend the existing contract between the City of Harlingen and the city manager. So let me call the lady.
leave a message.
Hello, Mrs. Salas. This is Amanda with the City of Harlingen. This is Amanda with the City of Harlingen, City Secretary. You submitted a public comment form, and we're just trying to get hold of you. Thank you so much. Okay, the next one is Ron Lozano, 2410 Riverside Drive, and I believe he's here. And he wants to speak on item 4, 13, and 15.
Well, that's not quite correct. Before we start, Amanda, I did want to speak on items that are 13 through 15. However, the mayor has utilized the Attorney General's opinion of reasonable, and so he's been allocating 2 minutes, and so I guess that's what you're going to continue the pattern of 2 minutes for all these items? Okay, so tell me when to start, because I'm going to probably have about 5 seconds on the first one, and then I'll...
Okay, start the timer.
Okay.
Well, then I'm going to wait for my items with the exception of this. I'll speak for 5 seconds on item 4 and then reserve my balance till the items come up, as the law says, under 551.007, Section B.
You may start.
Okay. I've already stated that there's a new commissioner, so hopefully we can wait for him, and thank you very much.
All right.
Okay, Mayor, then the next one is Kimberly Gray, 1809 Mockingbird Lane, and item City Manager and City of Harlingen. She doesn't want to be called, so I'll read her comments. And it reads like this: the fact that the city manager is making $260,610 with a 750 vehicle allowance for a city the size of Harlingen is absolutely ridiculous. His pay has increased over $80,000 in the last 4 years, beyond ridiculous. That money needs to be spent on the city's horrible drainage issues. City manager needs to take a tremendous pay cut.
Okay. All right, thank you.
And then,
Next
well,
one.
there's one more, Mayor. David Garcia, he doesn't want to be called, he wants his items to be read. It goes like this. To date, I have seen nothing being proposed to improve drainage in my subdivision behind BBVA Bank on Stewart Place behind Masters Road. I asked Andy to come see the post-rain on my street, Champion Drive, to view water standing. Currently, there is water standing from Saturday's rain. The water stinks with mosquitoes breeding. If it doesn't drain enough, then all the homes will suffer on septic tank systems. They become inoperable. Please, it is not fair. There are delays, and we should not have to depend on flood insurance to band-aid what the city is not doing. That's it, Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Now we'll go to item 1, which is the presentation of proclamation proclaiming June 2021 as Elder Abuse Prevention Month. And if Abigail Rivera, Monica Figueroa, Frank Gonzalez could join me up here, we'll present this proclamation. Whereas people who are elderly or have disabilities have contributed to the general welfare of the city of Harlingen by helping to preserve customs, convictions, and traditions of many people from diverse backgrounds. And whereas these residents are vital and integral members of our society, and their wisdom and experience have enriched our lives. And whereas the use of the elderly and people with disabilities in domestic and institutional settings is a widespread problem, affecting hundreds of thousands of people across the country. And whereas in 2020 there were 86,614 completed
we're gonna be leaving some business cards in the front with the hotline number. If y'all have any questions or concerns, y'all can always call that hotline.
All right, well, we thank you for the work that you do in our community. I know it's difficult work, and it is important work. Thank you for reaching out to protect our elders in our community. So thank you, and thank you for helping to raise awareness. Item 2 is the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of March 3rd, 2021, and the regular meeting of December 16th, 2020. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign, the motion carries. Next items are 3A through H. Consent agenda. Is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. The motion carries. Consent agenda is approved. Item 4, consideration of possible action to select one of the top 3 providers based on the presentations made by representatives of the firms and authorize the city manager to negotiate and execute a contract for associated architectural and engineering services pursuant to the city's request for qualifications number 2021-08 for the design and project management of the Lansing Hill Destination Park Phase 2. So I don't know whether there's any other presentation by Javier, but
Yes, good evening, Commissioners, City Commission, Mayor, City Commission. Y'all, I guess, heard the presentations earlier from the 3 architects that scored the highest. And so this is the evaluation criteria that, and the scores that we gave them. You want to go to the next, or go down? Of course, this is selection criteria that we scored them on. Go down again, Sergio, and then one more. And then, so this is the score sheet that we used when we evaluated them. And so what we did was we tallied everybody's score, and then we put it together on that spreadsheet. And so we're here to of course, hopefully select a architect for phase 2 of the.
Previous slide? No, second one. That one.
So again, the top architects was GENAC, GMS, and ROFA. Not in that order necessarily, but those are the 3 architects.
And the one that came out with the highest score was?
The one with the highest was number 1, GMS, number 2 was ROFA, and number 3 was GENAC.
So they made the presentations.
Yes, sir.
Does that change your opinion on anything?
No. I'm just one evaluator, of course, so.
Carlos was one of the ones also.
Yes, sir.
I'll ask you the same question, Carlos.
No, Commissioner, my scoring wouldn't change. Again, the purpose of giving the 3 firms an opportunity to present before you all is, I guess, exercising that option that's in the, that was on the RFQ, the request for qualifications, that the City Commission would hear them out if, and then really present it to you all for you all to make a final selection.
You know, I think the concern I had when, in our last meeting was, one, I want to make sure that the criteria was, you know, kind of a level playing field, and that we were asking more technical questions than opinionated questions. That was my because they all seem very qualified, right?
Sure.
And it's a very fortunate position to be in, that we're able to choose, you know, a firm that can handle the project, right? and I know there's many more to come, but like I said, my concern was, you know, when y'all are looking at it, is it more subjective or is it factual? I mean, that it's a level playing field, real transparent, and if I understood it correctly, everything that's out there, they get in their packet prior to, so there's no surprise questions, or it's kind of all, this is what you expected, and they turn in their work. That's great.
That is correct, sir. The scoring sheet is part of the RFQ packet that's advertised. And as a selection committee, we have those rules or scoring criteria to adhere to. And so the subjective part of it is how do you differentiate between a 2 and a 3 when you're trying to score them, when many of these aspects are very qualified firms, all of them. And
Right. Okay. No further questions.
All right, well, it's, you know, it's up to the commission now to decide what they want to do in terms of,
A motion for an approval for staff's recommendation.
okay.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Again, thank you all for participating and coming forward and giving us your presentations. Everybody, they're all super well qualified firms, and it's a hard decision, very difficult decision. Thank you. Okay, item 5 is a presentation and discussion by Rodrigo Davila, Public Works Director, and Andy Bigstall, Engineer, regarding the operation of Public Works and Engineering departments.
Good morning.
It's not much.
Okay, Rodrigo and Andy,
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. Today, we're going to give you hopefully a brief, but not too brief, representation of the operation that is your Public Works. And so Public Works is separated into 9 divisions that are listed here: sanitation, brush, landfill, recycling. We converted that from a recycling center to a recycling citizen drop-off. We do fleet maintenance, vehicle depreciation, traffic signals, street maintenance, and cleaning. So we do both on that, and of course our engineering division. To date, we have a total of 106 employees, and that is when we are fully staffed. We do have some openings, mostly drivers, that we want to fill those. And so what does Public Works do? Well, we maintain and improve the city's infrastructure, streets, alleys, signs, traffic signals, as the division mentions. We also own and operate our own solid waste collection and disposal. And I just wanted to kind of emphasize that we are a transfer station. We are not a landfill, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. And we have the operation of the transfer station and recycling drop-off. In addition to that, we support as many other departments that we can in the city. I know last year has been COVID, so we were instrumental in setting up the traffic control for the vaccine clinics, the traffic control for the flu distribution, vaccines, parks, health. I mean, whenever somebody else needs a hand, we try and help as much as we can. This is just some images of our great staff, our reception area, some of our drivers. The one in the brown jackets there, that was a competition that we had a couple of years ago, so it was great to see the guys out there and allow them to compete against other cities in our area. Unfortunately, we didn't win, but we came close. We'll get them next time. Our residential garbage services, we provide services for residential services to 18,765 accounts. Those tend to fluctuate up and down a little bit as we get new citizens that come in, new accounts. Some citizens leave, so that kind of lowers. So at any given month, that goes up maybe 20 up, 20 down in reference. We do provide service, garbage pickup service to all our residents there for twice a week. And we do that with 27 cubic yards, and that's a picture right there of one of those vehicles. And currently, we have 9 of those. Unfortunately, I don't have all 9 in rotation. Again, we have our drivers. We typically have 6 drivers. Every now and then, we'll have 5 or 7, but we make do. But we do have 9 vehicles in total in our inventory. Some of them are used as reserve. When a vehicle goes down, then we switch out for that other vehicle, so we don't have any downtime. And then there's some, as the budget process continues, we're hoping to get a replacement truck, and then we'll just be rotating those out. In the commercial, we have front loaders, which is what you can see here. We service 2,674 commercial accounts. Again, those fluctuate as new businesses come in and sub-businesses drop off. And we can provide service up to 7 days a week. And as needed, so they will tell us, or we will work with them depending on how much garbage they produce. We can provide, once a week, twice a week, again, up to 7 times a week. And we have 2 types of vehicles. We have a side loader, and we have, that's a 30 cubic yard, and we have 9 of those as well. Same thing, we have them on rotation. And we have 41 cubic yard, and we have 4 of those. Those are the front loaders that provide for the dumpsters and such. For some time in-house, we have been working with a company called Routeware, and we have been developing a GIS system. And I'm happy and proud to say that we're about to go live at the end of this month. We start our training this Saturday. We have equipped all of the trucks with GPS, with cameras. They also have tablets. And so we're going to be able to improve our workflow. We're automating the process. We're going to be able to not only take inventory of how many, for example, residential containers we have out there, but we can show a picture now of when it was serviced, what time it was serviced, and even by who. So that'll help us internally to create better statistics for our drivers, better benchmarks for our drivers. We can use that information to create better routes. We're going to continue the same service twice a week for all of our routes, but we want to do it better, more efficient, and finish in more time. And so hopefully, once we get up and going and we get a little bit of the kinks out, it'd be great to show you another presentation of how it works and maybe show you some data, if administration allows. Our brush division, brush and divis, we have a citizen drop-off area. This is at the, what we call a scale house, and this is where citizens and contractors can come in, and it's kind of like a self-service. I know the picture's a little bit squished here, but these are open-top containers. We have 4, 2 on each side. This ramp can provide access to 4 vehicles at one time, and citizens can come in and just, every weekend or whatever that they clean their homes. We provide that service for them. Just to note that all residents who have a water account get the first 500 pounds of debris or brush that they bring in for free. It's part of the service, and then anything after that, there would be a charge. I believe it's $12 per ton after that.
Is that once a year?
You really
Once a
cleaned-
month, once a month.
You really cleaned up that ramp before you took that picture.
Yes, sir. Well, I mean, we try and clean it once a week. I know we pass our trucks by it. We have those rolls with magnets, so we make sure and pick up a lot of the screws and a lot of the nails and stuff like that to prevent any flats. But every now and then, we do have some, including for our own vehicles. This is a picture of I'm sorry, wrong button. Our grapple truck, this is what we use to collect brush and debris when we go out. And a little bit more, I'll show you another graphic of the areas and how we divide the city and how we service it. But this is just the equipment that we use. And the reason I'm showing you this one here is because this one is a one-man operation. It's called a grapple. It's also known as a knuckle boom truck. And so the operator can come out of his cabin and go up, and then he operates kind of like a crane arm, and he can pick up logs, concrete, debris, sofas, I mean, pretty much anything we have out there. So it's really helpful when we have alleys that we can't get our regular loader out there because it's too big. This one provides that type of service for us in separate areas. I'm sorry?
How much weight does that carry? ballpark? I mean, I know it's by tonnage, right?
It's by tonnage. It's anywhere between 6 and 9 tons. We don't really want to overload them. It really depends on, it's more like the bulky items. Sometimes we have a lot of bulk, but it's just, you know, brushes tend to expand
So, like,
and they
we
take
have,
up a
like,
lot
the
of air.
storms and whatnot, that's a very essential.
Absolutely,
Right.
sir. It helps us tremendously.
Okay.
In the other alleys where we have more access or where we pick up from the front, we usually use our front loaders. And then they put their brush and debris into brush trucks, which is very similar to this, but it doesn't have the arm. And then, of course, down here, we have our air incinerator. And this is what we have at our brush area, which is next to our transfer station, as we collect brush on a monthly basis. And we have citizens who drop off brush. We utilize this to burn the brush, which essentially helps us reduce the amount of brush that we have to transport to Edinburgh. And just to give you some rough numbers, again, it depends a lot on how old the debris is. And not debris, I'm sorry, the brush. We can pretty much take about 100 tons of brush and then incinerate it into about 15 tons. And then that's what we transport over. So it's a great tool that we have.
And so it turns it
help us.
into fine ash, rough ash, charcoal?
It just ash, hard ash. Again, it depends. Some of the bigger tree trunks that are more solid, they take a little bit longer, but it brings them down enough whether they're manageable, they break. We put them in another open top and we transport those to Edinburgh also. This is our brush and collection map area. And as you can see, we have divided into 4 areas, and each area gets picked up within a week. And we usually start area 4 the first week of the month, which is where we are now. I don't know if you can see the dates. This one say May because that's when I did the graphic. That's the one that I did. Also, we have been modifying and really working with this map to make sure that we have our benchmarks for our drivers, that we do collect each area in that given full week of the month.
So what is Area 4? What neighborhoods or what district is that?
Well, it's not divided by commissioner district. It's just
Right,
the
it's
city,
just a simple
the city
thing.
split up. So the division light here is 7th Street. And so it would be everything west of 7th. And then we use the expressway here to come up and everything north. So everything that's in this color. And so what we've done further with this, and I tried to put the link on this map. I wasn't able to with my limited skills, but I understand that we're going to put this PowerPoint on our website afterwards, and I'll get with MIS to help me put the link. So if the link was active, then we could go into our city website, and each one of these areas is kind of broken down by itself within the map, and we're able to tell you when we're going to start by the date, what area we're picking up, how much we have collected, and where we plan to be next.
That software you were talking about that you mentioned earlier, is that applicable to this, or
Not.
that's just trash pickup?
That would just be for trash. Yeah, I don't have GPS on the brush trucks and our crew out there, but we have a daily report that we provide for them. You know what, you did X, Y, and Z road, and you were able to collect this much. They bring that in with the tickets that they do every night. So every night we tally up that, and then we say, okay, for tomorrow you're going to start this area where you left off, and we expect you to complete this much. And so whether they get to the benchmark or the goal that we set for them, if they get to it, it's great. Sometimes we have a little bit more brush than we anticipate. So then we're able to say, you know what, we didn't get all of Stewart Place per se.
So-
But where we left off, we continue the next day, and we provide that notice to our citizens that visit our website.
So unlike trash that's every day, brush pickup is pretty much, is it more heavy seasonal, like fall or whatever, and do you ramp up with staff or with equipment, or, and then do the opposite, ramp down when it's slower?
Both. So one of the advantages that we have here is because we concentrate on each area a complete week. For example, this week we're in Area 4, and even though the week started on a Tuesday because we were off on Monday, but should June 1st have come in on Wednesday, should today would have been June 1st, then this would have been the week that we were finishing Area 4, and then this is an open week. So that's when we can advance the first full week on our calendar that we provide to our citizens, which would be next week would be the first full week, then we would actually be starting there, but we would already been ahead of it,
So how often do you cycle? I mean, you
every 4 weeks.
So you typically hit an area once a month throughout the whole city?
Yes, the entire city gets collected once a month, yes, sir.
Okay.
And on that, I don't want to call it dead week, but on that dead week that's kind of off in each month, that's our catch-up.
Right. Okay.
That's our catch-up for, I like to call them rovers. And so I'll always have at least 1 or 2 grapples that will either get ahead of the whole crew, or they will stay behind depending on where we started the week. And it's, we're tweaking it. Like I said, we're online. Please visit the website, give us some feedback. Let us know if we're keeping it up to date. Let us know if the map is easy to read. We're always looking for input so that we can improve, we will get called out. There's been instances where we have, trucks that break down, and we'll get citizens that'll call me and say, hey, your guy was, at the end of the street and he never got to mine, and it's already, Thursday, and they usually pick it up on Wednesday. And so, good, they call me on it, and that tells me that they're looking at it, and we explain, we had this incident, we will be out there tomorrow morning, and it gets picked up that next day. This is our transfer station. Again, also still at the scale house. Again, I know we call it the landfill division, but we do not have a landfill. This is a transfer station where all of our trash trucks will come in and discharge here in our 4 bays. And then we put that solid waste into our trailers and semis, and then we transport that to Edinburgh. And this is just a representation of the tonnage in comparison to last year to this year. And just to keep in mind that these numbers here are from October, the beginning of the fiscal year for 2021, which is October through mid-May. And just to show that all of last year, we did 88,000, and this is in tons. And here we are in the beginning of May, and we're already at 53.6 thousand tons. And all of the rest are just divided. The 53 is divided by the residential, commercial, brush, and the citizen drop-off area, which was the scale house that I showed. Our recycling citizen drop-off is located. I don't know if you remember in the beginning of the pandemic in March when we got direction to go ahead and close the recycling center for COVID. We had originally started with 2 locations. It was here on South Commerce where it is now, and the other one was at the scale house. And again, we listened to our citizen feedback that they were letting us know that it was taking too long, it was too far. So in talking it over with administration, the decision was made that we close that one down and move all operations to South Commerce, which we have to date. I believe we started with 6 containers. We have since added all the way to 10 containers, and 2 of those are ADA compliance. We've also been renovating the canopy that was kind of damaged with some wind, and it needed some maintenance. We have just finished, or we hired somebody and they just finished. I wish I had some pictures of it. I wasn't able to get pictures, but the canopy that was directly behind the center has been completely redone, new roof, new ties. We're now gonna start working on the floor, even it out a little bit. There was some spots that were a little bit low. And then we hope to move some of these containers into that low area to provide more coverage for our citizens, provide better access, kind of give them a better turnaround. Right now, it's a little bit tight, and so we want to expand that operation as citizens continue to use. And since we started this operation, and what happens is the citizens come and they fill up the containers, and we are only collecting white paper, cardboard, plastics 1 and 2, aluminum and tin. And then we transport that to the city of McAllen, who has their operation still going. And so we want to be able to provide more. We are taking accounts here, right? So far we've done 170 tons. In years past, we were averaging about 969 to 1,000 tons per year. So that has come down. We are collecting less commodities. We have also noticed that aluminum and tin are the lowest ones. So we may come back here pretty soon and request that we change maybe this for some other commodities that are working more. We're working with our group in McAllen to see what they want to receive more of, and then we'll put it out to our citizens to see what they want to recycle more of, and hopefully we can make those changes and recommendations. Our fleet maintenance division is made up of one fleet manager. We have some mechanics. Thus far, again, to date, till mid-April, we have done 1,643 work orders, and those work orders are anywhere from tire repairs, tire replacements, repairing of hydraulic systems, general engine and transmission repairs. And last year, we upgraded our software, and our new techs that are coming in, because we have two of them that are new, are getting trained on that new software to help them diagnose and repair heavy-duty vehicles as well. So,
Are you having to sub some of that work out?
Yes, sir.
I'm sure they can't maintain all our vehicles, and well, if it's under warranty, I would imagine it goes to the thing, but any non-warranty item, are we having to subsidize, and what's the percentage of that? If you had 1,600 work orders that
Right.
you completed, how many ballpark are you subbing?
I don't have that number for you. I didn't break it down like that for this presentation, but I can provide that for you tomorrow morning. Certainly, that is something that we do.
There's always a percentage. I just want to know, is it 25%, 50%?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to guess, or I will give you an exact number tomorrow morning. And absolutely, we do have to, right, whatever's under warranty, but there's also some items that we are just not equipped or trained to
You don't
do,
have the tools, right?
and so we have to send those to the dealership as well. Our vehicle depreciation and acquisition, so this is a division that we look at the depreciation of vehicles that are, of all city-owned vehicles and equipment. We use this chart to also purchase new equipment for all city departments. We provide all the departments with new, lost, or renewed license plates. We prepare all the paperwork for the auction. And our depreciation schedule, it takes care of right now currently 501 vehicles and equipment. And that worksheet is basically a tool to help us determine when a vehicle is due for replacement. Traffic signals. We currently maintain 89 traffic signals throughout the city, 87 school flashing beacons that are solar powered, and 31 flashing beacons that are just electrical powered. Thus far, again, to date, we've converted 249 street lights that were the regular yellow ones to LEDs, and that's in partnership with AEP. And we're going to continue. We're shooting for 200 every fiscal year, and this year we're able to do 249, which is great. Again, thus far they've conducted 41 traffic studies, and due to COVID, we had not been placing any of the banners, but we're happy to say that on June 19th, we're having our announcement to the Freedom Fest, and that's going to be the first banner that we're going to put up, and we're hoping to get that going and put a lot more banners as the times continue to get better. This is just a picture of our crew out there working on traffic lights. What is that, First and Madison and Jackson and First Street. Anytime we repair signs or lights or we add additional signs, this is just some of the equipment that our guys use out there. This is a map, and I'm sorry it's a little bit hard to see, but this is the street lights, the current street lights that we have in the city and the ones that we're proposing. They're color-coded here to represent what kind of light, what's the wattage, what's the type, and then what's being replaced. And again, once we put this on our website for people to see, then we can provide a better map that they can zoom in and out should they want to see more details on the map. I can tell you that currently with AEP, we have 3,951 lights, and with Magic Valley, we have 247. Our street division, the mission of this division is responsible for maintaining city streets in good condition. They install traffic signals and any drainage improvements necessary for the safety of the citizens of Harlingen. Again, to date, we have 263 centerline miles of paved city streets, 50 centerline of paved state roads, 8.5 centerline miles of unpaved streets, and 67 centerline miles of alleys, which 16 miles of those are paved. 113 miles of sidewalks, 127 miles of storm sewer lines, and 13 miles of open ditches.
On the sidewalks, is that including all the new sidewalks?
Yes, sir.
I had a question real quick.
Yes, sir.
This is the department that also deals with speed bumps, correct?
Yes, sir, we do.
Okay, what is the process for speed bumps?
There's a process that, I'm sorry, there's a process that the citizen that is requesting it, pretty much it's an email or a phone call to our engineering department, and then there's several forms that pick up. Once the person wants to continue with the process, right, they have to fill out the application and stuff, and then we do the traffic counts, and then our engineering department continues to review that documentation to see if it warrants a speed limit, and then they make the recommendation.
And who pays for it?
The
Does
citizen.
the city pay for it, or do the citizens?
So in the beginning, when the program started, I believe there was 10 that the city paid for. All those have been installed. And so the process is now that the citizen would pay for it. That's in our ordinance. However, our ordinance does say that if a commissioner is to install, request the process, then of course it would be on the hands of the city.
Okay, so if a city commissioner requests a speed bump, then the city covers it?
If it warrants, yes.
If it warrants it.
If it warrants it. Again, we would bring it back.
But how does that, how does that work if it's warranted? Why would we make the citizen pay for it? Or did I not hear that right?
Yeah, because speed bumps, from what I understand, they're expensive, correct? They're like about what? Can you give me like a rough estimate on just a general speed bump?
And the last quote we got, I believe, correct me, Andy, if I'm wrong, but I believe we were like around 6,300.
Okay.
Seven-
Yeah, because I find it just kind of unreasonable where you can expect, some of the citizens to pay for that, because I know for a fact in my district, there are several neighborhoods in my district that need speed bumps. And that was one of the big things, surprisingly, when I was campaigning and asking, what is it that you guys need? That was one of the major complaints, is speed bumps. But then they're saying, okay, they're making us pay thousands of dollars, but how can we afford them? You know what I mean? Like, the average citizen can't afford to just pay, okay, $6,300. Even if they get in a neighborhood and say, hey, let's come up. But honestly, how many people from a neighborhood are gonna be like, okay, here's $1,000. Let me go and, chip in for the speed bump. So that's not realistic. So you're telling me right now, so if a city commissioner requests it, and if it's warranted, like you said, then the city covers it?
So hold on, let me ask this question. During the development of a community or housing, do we do traffic counts? And if there's speed bumps warranted, do we put that onto the developer?
I don't believe that's in our process. I mean, we will check the road condition.
Is that normal to make the citizens pay for a speed bump? I mean, that's that standard?
I believe it is, or, I mean, I know we have it in our ordinance. I can certainly look more into it and provide some more feedback.
Can you
should the-
email
should
me
the
that
commission-
ordinance?
Yes, sir,
Well, because
absolutely.
if it's warranted, then that would mean it would become a safety issue, right? There's a safety component to that, correct? I mean, if it's maybe because it's in a neighborhood or children crossing or there's, if it's a 30-mile-an-hour zone and people are gonna go down 50 miles an hour during a stretch of how do you populate, we probably need to look at, we need to look at that.
I totally agree. And I have a question. When you say traffic counts, can you explain that a little bit more? Like, what does that mean?
So our traffic department will go up and they will set up a device, it's a little box and it has it's like a wire, but it's kind of like a pressurized tube, and every time a vehicle passes by it, it gives a count. But it's also, it's able to calculate not only the weight of the tires and then the timing of how close they pass together, and then it's able to determine what type of vehicle it was or how heavy the vehicle it was. So that information gets back to their engineer, and our engineer will make a determination after that.
Okay. Also on that email, can you also send me, like the thresholds, like when it would be warranted for speed bump, please?
So here's a suggestion, when you look at it. We do have a street maintenance program, right? That maybe you have to incorporate that into some kind of component. Maybe the street maintenance is all bigger roads maybe, or more highways and maybe not residential?
Street maintenance does cover some residential.
Okay, well, I mean, it's just something to look at. I'm just not in favor of making a citizen, that's expensive.
Sure, no, if you'd allowed me, I'd like to elaborate on the traffic counts, the process. Typically, we'll go in there and we'll study, there's a certain volume of vehicles, and a certain volume of them have to be speeding over the 35 miles an hour, basically. So if they meet that criteria, that's typically what warrants it. And it's all spelled out in the ordinance. I'll be happy to send you a copy of that.
And what's the time frame? Like, I know you say you put the little thing there to measure. What's the time frame? Like, was it like 6 months, 2 months, or how long, like, in order to get the metrics that you need to make a decision?
It usually is about a month and a half for us to do a full study. Part of the process requires neighborhood support. So there's a 75% criteria of the neighborhood that has to be in support of it. So that sometimes takes a little longer for people to get. But typically, if it runs smooth, it's about a month and a half.
So one more comment, I'm sorry. It's just my mind going. And at minimum, that's some kind of communication that should be put onto the PD that, that's maybe an area they need to patrol or keep an eye on because their presence should help deter that type of driving.
Absolutely. We typically copy the PD every time we get one of those requests, so.
All right, I'll be quiet now.
So as long as I've been a commissioner and I've gotten a lot of these calls and I've been out there, so there's a form they have to fill out. The resident, 75% of that neighborhood has to sign it. But when they find out that that speed bump is gonna be in front of the neighbor's house and they're gonna lose that parking space, everything goes away.
Well, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I think most people would say, am I gonna lose this parking, or could I possibly lose a child that's in the street playing? So
Well, I'm just
assuming
letting you
most-
know from my experience,
Yeah.
that's what normally happens. When the neighbor finds out that the speed bump's gonna be there because engineering does a study and says, these are where the speed bumps need to be, and it's your neighbor, they're like, no, we don't want speed bumps. So I'm just giving you a heads up and letting you know what I've experienced in the past.
Oh, and last question, because you were saying about, you take about a month and a half, because I know there were some streets in my district that requested a speed bump. And the thing is, they did it right in the middle of, last year when it was COVID. And then that was one of the complaints. Did you guys take into that consideration any requests that you took last year for the speed bumps? Because in the beginning of COVID, nobody was basically driving. You know what I mean? So did you
Sure.
take that into consideration?
I want to say at one point in one request, and I'm recalling off the top of my head, we did have that as a factor. We said, would you like to wait? And I think the respondent requested to go ahead and take the counts.
Okay.
So I recall that in one case.
Can you also, because how many requests do you think you've gotten, like, within the past year or so?
We probably get, 5 or 6 a month.
Okay. Can you, again, I don't mean to put work on you, but can you email me the ones that are, if you can separate that way, can you email me the ones that are in my district, please?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Historically, similar to Ruben, somebody emails me or calls me, I tell them to email me, and then I forward it to the city, and then I also request the police department, hey, why don't you, park on the street for a week or two down the road, just to moderate speed and see if that works.
Yeah, but I see that as more of a temporary fix. I'd rather get to the root of the problem.
Right, I understand. But in Brazil, they call these mother-in-law bumps, because not everybody loves a speed bump on their street. And that's why you need 75% of the people to do this. It isn't a democracy of 1 or 3%, but a large percent.
It's okay. If I have to walk down on the street and knock on every door, it's okay. It's fine. I'm good.
Okay, well, I think these are all good questions and a good discussion, and, I think let's take a look at the ordinance to see what, we can always bring the ordinance back modified. Street maintenance has a $4 million budget, somewhere more or less, and, if we want to add money for speed bumps, we can do that at budget time. So, Rodrigo, why don't you continue with your presentation?
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commissioners. And so our street cleaning and maintenance division, to date, we've repaired 998 potholes. We've repaired 6,530 square yards. That's the amount of, it's measured in yards, the asphalt or caliche or other millings that we put on there. We repaired 49,432 linear feet of alleys, and we've cleaned 10,074 linear feet of drain ditches, and we've mowed 199,640
Is there a
linear
schedule
feet.
for those, for cleaning those drainage
Yes, sir.
districts? Like, do we have a yearly maintenance? Yeah, we do?
Yes, sir, year-round. We have 24 of those, and we have them on a year-round, and we continue now. Again, that is similar to what we did with the brush online. We have a similar one. It's not being visited too often. I think it's a little bit complicated. It's working off of Google. So we're working to make improvements on those as well so that we can also provide the citizens that wish to visit our website what we've cleaned, how much of it was, and what we're cleaning next. For example, this month, we're working on this particular drain ditch and so on and so forth.
Okay, and another question, this related to drainage. When a citizen, like just earlier today, at some of the public comments, we had one of my constituents called from behind BBC Bank over there off Stewart Place in Champions. They called and they were saying how they've been having issues, there's still standing water there in the street and stuff like that. What is your response? Like, what do you guys do? What is the process when you get a call saying, hey, there's still water here in our streets, we're constantly getting flooded? Because I even got one earlier this afternoon, lady, Ms. Cavazos off Wilson and Russell, and she was saying how her homes, that street always gets flooded, and she's contacted the city before, and they haven't really done anything. What is the process? Like, once you get a call from someone saying, hey, our streets are getting flooded, what do you guys do?
We create a work order for a street crew, and we send either a supervisor or a street crew if we think we know what the problem is. The one on Wilson, and I'm not sure if it was this citizen who called, but we had received a call on that one.
Okay.
And what it was, that there is construction in that area right near the frontage and the underpass. And the construction company, even though our construction inspector had instructed them that there was weather coming, to remove those grass socks that they put on the inlets, had not been removed. Our inspector went himself and he removed it, and the water went through. So the standing water was because there was a blockage. And a lot of times that's what it is. We find debris. We found ice chests. Believe it or not, in that area, we found the refrigerator ones.
But Commissioner,
that was
also,
stuck.
just to share with you my experience, I'll have somebody call me, and I do the same as Commissioner Mesmer. I always send it off to Dan, and I document, I do an email, because you will get the citizen, or at least not all of them, but I've had some that will call me several times, and we've already explained the process. They've made contact, they've done everything they can to explain to them how, when, and, but citizens just don't not happy. So then I get a call saying, well, I didn't do nothing about it. And I said, I did everything I could to get this situation resolved, right? That's why it's important, in my opinion, it's important that, yes, we take the calls. And you mentioned, your district. We voted in by district, but we should, we're able to take care of I take calls from any citizen in Harlingen, right? Not necessarily just my district. And they'll tell me, well, I called, Commissioner Puente, I called Commissioner Mesmer, they didn't answer me. Then you find out, well, they've already talked to them, but they didn't get the answer they wanted, so they went on to the next commissioner, if that makes any sense. And I'm saying, that's not always the case, but I've found in my experience that if you give the guys an opportunity, the staff an opportunity to do it, they're gonna do everything in their power to get that done,
No, I'm not doubting that you guys do your best. I know you guys do. But what I'm asking is, do you guys, like, for example, on that call that you got, and you found out do you go back and communicate? Do you talk to the person that made the call? Because a lot of times what I've seen is a lot of the constituents that call in, all they want is communication. A lot of times they want to say, okay, look, they just want to be heard. So if you communicate with them and say, okay, this is what's going on, this is what happened, we did it, or hey, we weren't able to do this in this case, and this is the reason why. Most of the time, not all the time, because you're right, you'll get some that are tercos, and there's nothing we can do about it, but I would say, again, I have limited experience, it's my first one, but I would think that, as long as most people get communication, that's all they want. But you guys do that. You follow through.
Absolutely, Commissioner. When we have a return number, because sometimes they call us from a private number or unlisted number, we try our best to get it back to them. When they send us an email or the email comes through the City Commissioner Administration, we respond to that email. Even when they post on social media, Irma will usually forward it to us and say, hey, do you have an answer for this one, or has anybody checked this one out? I will look at it, create it from there, and provide a response.
So I think part of the most important part of our job, of what I feel is we listen and we're listening to all these situations, and it's a whole bunch of stuff. but is it trying to improve the process, right? Either through technology and giving the guys the tools that they need, and, you know, that's very important, you know. We'll soon start a budgeting process here in the next, what, month, maybe, or next few weeks? We start the new budgets. So that's when we really start to take it around. We as a group look at, you know, here's how we prioritize, and here's how can we make the system better, more efficient, and we can't do it all at once, but we can do it. And these guys' defense, they bust their butt the last 2 years in drainage, right? Getting grants, getting stuff. I know I've seen it with 9th, 13th Street, 7th Street, the Loop, you know, secluded acres and all those areas. But again, it's you know, taking all that into consideration, knowing that, you know, we have X amount of funds, and how do we best spend them to prioritize and make it, again, as sufficient, and give these guys the tools that they need, whether it's software, technology, trucks, you know, whatever they need, you know? And that process alone will help our constituents.
And historically, if I may say, people will call me, I'll say, send me an email so I can track it. And they send me an email. The city has been 100% responsive, always. The citizen may not like the answer, but the city has been 100% responsive. And I'm dealing with one case back and forth now about a private property owner who doesn't take care of the property. And the result is silt and water and mud go into the street.
I had a question. Something that I'm trying to do, again, this is specifically to my district, and I did it like about Dan went with me. It was Dan and Tim went with me to a neighborhood, and it was a neighborhood in Brianna Circle, and they had issues with the extending the sewer services and stuff like that. And what Dan graciously did with Tim, he came out with me to the neighborhood. They explained it to the neighborhood. They talked to them. We explained them, and it was honestly something that they didn't want to hear, that they were going to have to pay out of their own funds and stuff like that. But by getting that information, it made them feel better, and that would probably lessen some of the calls that we'd be getting or some of the complaints that we'd be getting. Would you or Andy, because I know Andy's usually a part of it, would you be okay with that? Would you be okay accompanying me to say, like, one of these neighborhoods that continuously gets flooded, and maybe it has an issue that we can address because, like Richard said, maybe because, you know, we don't have the funds for it or something, but would you okay be going with me, having like a little neighborhood thing, talk to them and let them know, okay, this is what we've done, this is what we're trying to do, and just basically communicate with them? Would you guys be comfortable with that?
Absolutely, Commissioner. Whatever we can do to better educate our citizens and better advise our citizens on what's going on and what are we doing. A lot of the work that we do is underground, and sometimes when they don't see it right above it, they think it's not happening, but it is happening. We're flushing lines, we're removing debris, we're picking up brush, we're unclogging inlets all the time. Just to add to Commissioner Uribe's, as he was mentioning, I don't want to get into our MIS department, but we have an app that people can download, and I haven't seen the numbers here lately, but I know that we get those requests as well. So they have the avenue of calling, of emailing, of putting it on social media, of using that app. We also have a report, HGN at myharlingen.us email that we monitor in Public Works. They can send emails, they can send pictures, they can send requests that way. All those we monitor, we review, and we respond. And so absolutely, if we need to go and remind them, in fact, we even have a QR code that they can scan and automatically send them to our website so they can submit additional information.
Commissioner,
They do a lot of,
during the last floods, Carlos Sanchez went with me, and there was probably a good 50, 60 people. We were in somebody's kitchen, and he was demonstrating to them, you know, the water and the whole thing. And that was like late. I remember that was late, and we did that maybe 3 times in these affected neighborhoods, right? So yeah, absolutely. If you call the staff, they will definitely support you. But I mean, we've been in people's houses explaining to them, and once they see it, then they understand. Oh, okay, I get it. Because he can explain the engineering side of it. You know, I'm not an engineer, right? But you know, calling meetings together, groups together, and absolutely being transparent and communicating with the citizens is absolutely the point. But he took time at night and brought his staff to somebody's kitchen, and that was very impressive. In the middle of all the, you know.
Yeah, and that's what I want. So like Andy, like for example, that neighborhood that's behind, because that was one of the neighborhoods during the campaign that had a lot of issues, the champion, around champions and masters.
Sure.
I'm sure, would you be willing to go with me?
Sure.
And do that? Okay, cool. We'll set it up. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah. They do a lot of that.
No, no, I'm glad, but,
And
no,
they
I'm
and they
glad.
do a lot of it that we don't even know about.
Right.
Yeah, because that's
So
basically
I
the
think
point.
it's not I think it's an easy ask. It's an easy
Okay,
ask.
great, because the point of it, because I know you guys do a lot, plenty, but a lot of times the citizens, like Richard said, they're not aware of it. And I just want them to be aware of the stuff that you're doing in the background, that they're not forgotten, that you are working for them. And like I said, if they know that, they feel that, they're being heard, then I think that would make, honestly, your life a little bit easier, because you wouldn't be getting all these complaints. Because once they understand what's going on, I'm hoping that they'll be, okay, they're listening to me and they're trying. That's what they want, most people. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Next slide.
Yes, sir. Street maintenance, street cleaning division. We're responsible to maintain city streets, again, alleys, drainage, the right-of-way cleaning. And thus far, to date, up until April, actually, these numbers are from April, we've repaired 998 potholes, 6,530 square yards. Street repairs, we repaired 49,432 linear feet of alleys. And again, we've cleaned and mowed and used the excavator for 10,000 plus linear feet, and we've mowed 199,000 linear feet of
Last
grass.
question, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right here, perfect, street
Yes, sir.
signs. What's the process in getting a street sign? Because I noticed, like even in my neighborhood, there was an area, because I live on Hickory Hills, and there was an area where a lot of people were dumping their stuff. And then eventually, like, I noticed people were just throwing everything in there. And then eventually you put up a sign, and it said no dumping. And that was great. And then honestly, that's reduced everything. There's another neighborhood in my district on Vista Verde, and there's an area when you drive in, and it's literally right when you drive in, and there's like all this dumping. People just do it. Exactly what was going on in my neighborhood it's happening there. And I've already had some people call me and say, hey, sir, is there anything you can do? So what's the process for that?
Again, just giving us a call. Typically, we'll get code compliance involved, so make sure that they have a report. They like to track and see illegal dumping. It helps with their benchmarks, their statistics. They will also sometimes go through the trash and try and find an owner. They talk to the residents. Did you see anybody? Some residents have provided us with video from their security cameras around the house, some witness video to some of the events. And then once they take care of that, then they send that report to us, and then we will generate that work order, and we'll put a sign there if there's a space. If we have some right away, we'll definitely put a sign. But just to let you know, in some cases, and that's great that worked there on Hick Hill, but we also have found that, people call us, put a sign, we put the sign, and then the people seem like, oh, okay, well, let's see how much we can get away with, and that happens too. We are getting additional cameras, well, maybe I shouldn't say it, but additional cameras that we can place and hopefully catch some of those, sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry.
So that one in Vista Verde.
I'm sorry, they were not approved, we didn't get them, they were not approved.
So the one in Vista Verde, one of my friends lives down the street. Last month, I had to talk to Manny and had Manny put up the camera. So I don't know the end result. I haven't followed up with Manny, but I did talk to Manny about that issue, yeah.
Yeah, they're really good about that as well. And so we have done 27 street, replaced 27 street signs. These are just signs that fade out or get bent or torn off, or, sometimes we have accidents and they get torn down as well. We have replaced 42 regulatory signs and 27 warning signs. Our street sweepers have swept 2,149 miles of street, and again, that process continues. And we're hoping to increase that now that we're getting additional equipment. Striping of roads, 8,360 linear feet, and 1,469 crosswalks. And then we've done some caliche repair, 13,000 linear feet on different roads, alleys, mostly alleyways that we do any caliche repair on that. Roadside ditches, this is just some of what we've been able to do in-house. And the first picture here is of Dilworth Street. There was, when it hits the, I guess going north from frontage, north on Dilworth, at the end of it, there's that drainage canal. There was a collapse on that pipe last year, and there was a lot of water that was ponding. We were able to replace that pipe, that outfall, and then we regraded the entire ditch and This is one of the sites that we often visit when we do have rains, and it has been working great. This is Graham Road and Vista del Sol, and we've also done Tucker Road, Phase 1. We're hoping to start Phase 2, and again, these are projects that we do in-house. Last year, just as a point of reference, we did Beckham, Halpin, we did Hughes Road, or half of Hughes Road. There was some development on the other side, and then we occasionally do whatever we can to any roads that we see that are clogged. We'll go in there and flush the culverts and so on and so forth to improve drainage. This is the mowing that we've done. Again, it's the same numbers as shown in the other one, but I wanted to illustrate with some of the pictures the equipment that we use out there. These are the pictures that we're going to be putting on our website to let the people know what we did. When we say slope mower, they'll have a picture that represents that so that they know what's out there, and if they want to call us out on anything, if we happen to put, the excavator, which is this one here, and they're like, no, it was a mower, then, at least they know and they recognize what we're trying to do. The excavator is used pretty much to clear at the bottom, and this one, it's a mower, so it mows the grass. These are pending in-house projects that we're hoping to tackle here soon. And this list, just keeps adding on. We're always looking for other improvements that we can do in-house with our staff. So we're looking in downtown to improve the West Jackson, Commerce, and Fillmore. We've been taking some video of some of those inlets, and we've been trying to identify additional ones that we can provide some relief there. Phase 2 of Palm Boulevard, which is a Vela Middle School project, and I know Andy's going to cover a little bit on that a little bit later, but so far in front of the school, we've already set sidewalk there, and we're hoping to finish it all the way to Business 83, and then connect it back to the neighborhoods that are in the back, or I guess it would be south and north. Adams Crossing Retention Pond, we're going to be doing some improvements. We were hoping to get that project started today, but because we had some rain yesterday, it's a little bit too wet still for our equipment to go in there. So as soon as we can get that ground a little bit stabilized to hold our equipment, we're going to go in there and make some improvements to that retention pond. I know that crews were out there today, and all they did was they were starting to set their markers to see where they're going to cut, and they're going to make the improvement, but that's all we could do thus far. The Phase 2 roadside ditch on South Tucker Road, that's another improvement that we're going to do in-house. Sam Houston and railroad drainage, that's one that we actually had planned to do after the Adams, but because of the rain that happened, we're able to get in this one. And this area right here is right behind that Treasurer's Plaza, Shipley's Donut area. It is a private drain ditch that goes all the way to the arroyo. We were able to get permission from the owner, and we're out there all day today. We'll probably be out there the rest of the week. There is a lot of stuff that we're taking out of there, and we're hoping to develop a great relationship with that owner to allow us to better help them keep it clean and allow that water to flow from Sam Houston all the way out. And of course, Hick Hill and Kingfisher Court, there's a retention pond over there that's also, it's in need of some attention there. We're trying to get permission to be out. Most of it is inside the city, but some of the access points are in the county, so we need to get out there. That's the one that's on top.
Are you familiar with, there's like a huge pond, like if you go off Wilson, and then like right off in the corner of Wilson and the frontage, there's like a huge pond. And it's really, really big pond. It's like, there's like a little mobile home park. It's 2601.
Is that the
address-
Oasis?
I'm sorry?
The Oasis?
No, it's more toward the expressway. And then it's like, the address is like, I think, 20.
Okay.
Yes, like, yeah, exactly. There's this huge, huge pond there. Is that private property or is that city property? Do you know?
I believe that's the park, right? That's part of the park?
The,
Part of the RV? Oh, part of the, it belongs to the trailer park.
okay, because it's a huge, huge pond, and I know last time when we had the flood, that area drains a lot. Would it be possible, like, to be an in-house project? I'm just throwing ideas out there. Like, to maybe dredge that up, to make it get more water? Would that be too expensive, or
Yeah,
what would happen?
we actually don't have dredging equipment to go in there to take it out. The reason we were able to do it on Hick Hill was because it was dry at the time. And we really did just a minimal surface. What we wanted to do is take a little bit of the dirt and build up the berm that had fallen during the 2018 flood. And so we took, literally like 4 inches, 6 inches at the most, and it was just to move it there to kind of build up the dirt berm that was already there, but it had caved in. But dredging, I mean, we use scrapers, we didn't use dredging equipment, we don't have that type of equipment. It would be too soft. I mean, it's something we can look at, definitely, but we gotta have the right equipment to be able to do it.
That's the private pond that a couple of years ago, when we had the summer drought, they wanted us to fill it up with water, but we couldn't because
From
it's a
where?
private pond.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, it's private. And this is taken from our website drainage improvements project list that's on there already. And again, over the past 12 years, the city has secured funding for 28 projects that are listed here. And this one, if you go to our website, the reason that they're blue is because they're all hyperlinked. You can click on any one of those projects and it'll forward you to more detailed, more information on what the project did. This is just kind of like a quick overview of those 28 projects. And these 28 projects were a total of $30,134,195. And part of the big reason that the city was able to leverage those local funds and secure federal funds and grants through like FEMA, the Texas Water Development Board, and then some partnerships with IBWC, Drainage District Number 5, and Irrigation District Number 1. And the second chart of that here is what we're hoping to do next. And I know that Andy might, or I know Carlos is probably going to elaborate a little bit more on that, but it's just part of the program that I wanted to show. This next slide, I guess, to kind of illustrate some of the obstacles that we see out there. I don't have like, you know, a specific roads, or I'm not trying to call anybody out, but just some of the stuff we see in our neighborhoods. This is around here in the downtown area, Polk, 13th Street. And just to show and to illustrate, when citizens cut their clippings, this is why we don't want the clippings on the street, that people blow them on the street. They will accumulate and cause something like this. And I mean, you would think it's just grass, but in minutes, as water is coming in, it's completely blocked, and then we have to open it and allow that water to go through. This is another image, and this is just a curb. The water is supposed to be going in this direction. They cut the grass. I don't know if you can see it very clear here, but this is just grass clippings, and it stopped the entire water from going. I mean, this is something that it's just with your foot, you can remove it and take it off. Unfortunately, we can't drive everywhere to do this type of stuff, and this is the type of stuff that we want to help, and we want to educate our citizens. The reason why we ask them not to throw the clippings on the street or blow them onto the street, because this is what it causes. And it just holds water, and from here, I mean, I know in the downtown, and I don't know if Bill is here, but him and I in this area here, we are constantly blocking. This is Van Buren Street, and you know, this is where all the brush leaves just come in and they stay on those inlets, and it causes this. And this is actually not that bad. We've seen it where half of the street is covered, and all we do is take a small rake the leaves out, and the water gushes through. So the system works, but the system has to be. I know that for something like this, we are looking at innovative ways to maybe make our inlet covers different angles. We've tried cutting tube, instead of it being square, being round, to allow the leaves to go in. It just doesn't happen. I know at sometimes here, we've had something as simple as a shopping bag that they drop on the street. It floats over. Once it gets there, it gets suction, and it completely blocks it. This is more in the other areas. Again, I'm not calling anybody out, but this is in the areas where we don't have curb and gutter. And as you can see here, there is area to place the brush, but we continue to see that they place it right where the culverts is, and this is just a blockage. This is a pile of wood, old wood. Maybe they took apart a furniture. I'm not sure what it was, but it is right in, it was placed there. It wasn't thrown there, it didn't float there, it was placed there. And this is some other areas where they're just placing it. I mean, this is their driveway to get to their property, and they're putting it on both sides of the culverts. This is a recent one that just happened, that they called us that the water was not flowing, and when we went out there, this is what we saw. This is a piece of, it's not gypsum board, it's another type of board that they use for construction. Somebody just threw it in the inlet. It was completely blocking one of the areas downtown. And so it looks the same as concrete. We couldn't tell with the water, but once we finally got in there and we kind of poked at it and pressure washed it, we found out what it was. We were able to remove it, and the water moved. And some of the other images that I didn't place on here, I mean, we've taken 1x12s, igloo, ice chests, all sorts of things that really, I mean, I don't know what it is. Maybe people think, second guess it, and if in doubt, throw it in the drain. It doesn't go in the drain. It causes a lot of havoc for what we're trying to do. And up to that is where I'm going to allow Andy to speak a little bit more on the engineering portion of this,
Thank you.
unless there's any questions.
All right, thank you. Thank you, and thank you to your department and all the men and women of your on your staff. As we've gone through here, it's a reminder of how much work they do. A lot of, you know, all of this stuff is taken for granted, but it's a huge job, and it's not taken for granted when the garbage isn't picked up or when the brush isn't picked up, but when it is, you know, you just expect it to be there. And so we appreciate everything that you guys in your department do for all of our citizens, so thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioner. My name is Andy Vigstall. I'm your city engineer. I appreciate you allowing us the time to present some of the roles, responsibilities, and projects we have going on in our department tonight. So I just wanted to touch on a few of our roles as the engineering department. We do a lot of grant writing, grant management. You've probably heard we've been successful in getting some grants here recently for drainage. So big part of that goes to not only my staff but the administration of the city for you know, keeping us focused on that and you know, trying to get those. So you know, that's certainly one of the aspects of what we do. Floodplain administration. As the city engineer, I serve as the floodplain administrator, which you know, interacts with our national flood insurance participation. We do, as a participant, as a city, get a discount on flood insurance policies due to our participation in that program. So. We also do right-of-way management, you know, things going on within the right-of-way, excavation permits, that sort of thing. When people are installing utilities, we typically issue a permit on that. We do some in-house design for projects. Currently working on the next street improvement project, amongst a few other projects. So that's another one of our roles. We field a lot of citizen requests. We have a lot of people contacting us and requesting things or bringing things to our attention, and we do our best to give them excellent customer service and address their issues. We work as development liaisons, you know, trying to help bring development in, make it successful, and you know, bring new developments online. We do departmental support. Other departments will ask us for help with their projects, or you know, just even to just bounce some ideas off of us. We're there to help all the departments within the city. We also work in the emergency operations. The emergency operations committee. My particular role is on the planning side of it, but all of us are classified as first responders. So we all pitch in. You know, we're good with maps and numbers. So anywhere we can help with that, we're here to help. I put in staff management because I certainly part of what I do. I manage a small staff of 5. External affairs is really, you know, we deal with a lot of extra jurisdictional agencies such as TxDOT, US IBWC, GLO, TDM, FEMA. So we interface with them, and typically they're technical staff. Project management, we manage the construction projects going on in the city. That's typically we're the front line, and we ensure that the projects are being delivered. We develop standards for the city. As part of the development and upkeep of the city. We develop certain standards for improvements. We do records research. When sometimes there'll be some information that needs to be looked up, and we have a lot of technical depth in that area. So, street closings, we field a lot of street closing requests, and development review. We're part of that process. So, as new developments get submitted, we perform reviews on them. Compliance assistance, as far as the city's permits, the MS4 and stormwater permitting, and we also do inspections. So those are a few of the roles we have in our department. Some of our major responsibilities are we do have an annual street improvement project, and that's kind of ours to develop, manage, and construct. Community development block grant projects that come out, we propose annual projects for that as well. Any capital improvement project management, as far as stormwater or drainage, falls under our umbrella. Again, the development reviews, we do reviews on developments that are being proposed in the city. We perform traffic studies, make recommendations off of those. We manage the speed hump program, which we talked about a little bit earlier, and we review, update ordinances as needed. And I also serve as a representative on the BPAC, which is through the Lower Rio Grande Valley MPO, which is a metropolitan planning organization, and this is their bicycle and pedestrian advisory committee. So those are some of our key responsibilities. So I'm going to jump into some of the projects we've got going on right now. This one's kind of wrapping up. It's the 2020 Street Improvement Program Project. I call it the SIP, just to kind of simplify things. So this project did 3.5 miles of roads. We took Traxler Road, which was a unpaved gravel road, and paved it between the adjoining neighborhood and the frontage road. Countryside and Sunnyside were two cul-de-sacs that were out on Altus Palmas that got milled and overlaid. Granada Street saw a mill and overlaid. Markowski got the pavement removed and reworked some of the base material to provide a little strength on that street. We've got the bus barn over there, plus our Public Works yard is off of Markowski, so a lot of heavy traffic over there. Fair Park, Jefferson Avenue, the first part of Destination Park, and this one just timed up just right, and we got that repaved, restriped right as the park was opening, so that was a real success. And another success, all the streets were a success on this project. Hain Avenue, we got that one timed right between the spring break time, so we did good on that. Treasure Hills Boulevard as well. So that project is right at $1,478,464.11. Most of it, again, was mill and overlay. Some of it was reconstruction. And that project is on time and on budget. So we're very happy with that one. The next project I kind of wanted to touch on was the 9th and 13th Street project, which is
Excuse me, so it's about, just doing simple math, it's about $400,000 a mile to do a street. 13 miles times,
Correct.
Yeah.
So, yeah, correct.
But if they have to remove it and put base, I think it's even more than that, right?
So that, yeah, that's right. There was a few different things we did on those, but
It's extremely expensive.
roads are expensive. Drainage is even more expensive, so. But this 9th and 13th Street project, it really came together well. I really like this picture. If you look in the background here, this little pipe right here is the one that's getting replaced with this big one. So, you know, just by looking at the picture, you can kind of get a sense of the scale of the improvements that are occurring out there. And this project was, we've actually received a couple grants on this one. So the first grant came through FEMA, which is administered through the Texas Department of Emergency Management, who is TDEM. So they got the ball rolling, and then to help us with our local match, the Texas Water Development Board provided an additional grant. So this is about with design services, about $2.8 million project, and I think we'll be paying around $320,000. So you know, between the grants, it really you know, was a great project. So that one is currently under construction. Again, it was a two-phase project through TDEM. There was a design phase and then a construction phase. It's about 5,700 linear feet of pipe altogether with varying size. Most of it is 48-inch. There's some 60-inch, and then the smaller laterals were 18 inches or bigger. So a lot of new pipe, 28 junction boxes, 48 inlets. So we replaced a lot of infrastructure on this one, and again, through the grants, it was just an outstanding project. So this project did include a boring under Tyler. I don't know if anyone knew that, but it went under the street, and it's going well. So the project's pretty close to being on time. We might be behind a few weeks, but I believe generally it's on time, and it is on budget. Dixieland Ditch Project. This was a unique project that we had originally applied for a similar FEMA grant for, and we were able to ultimately find a partnership between Cameron County Drainage District Number 5 and the Harlingen Irrigation District to perform the work. So it really came together well in that aspect. FEMA TDEM grants can typically take, you know, years before you know if they're moving forward with them. So this one, you know, we recognized that we needed to move on it, and we were able to find a way to get it done more quickly, and actually the cost is significantly lower by using the interlocal agreement. So we've got good partnership with the irrigation district who's performing the work, and they do good work. So we're happy to have them on board, and those are seeing upgraded crossings at Garrett, which that's where they're at right now. Haverford Boulevard saw an upgraded crossing, and Bothwell as well. So that's going to help that system quite a bit. And then the transportation alternative set aside, which are the sidewalks that are going in now. that's really two projects. So we've got project number one is the one in construction, the one everyone's seeing around town. That one's managed through TxDOT, and it touches portions of I-69 frontage, the northbound frontage, generally from down around by Harlingen Medical up to Wilson. 77 Sunshine Strip is seeing new improvements kind of on the northern side. Harrison and Tyler are seeing new sidewalks as well. So there's a little bit of sidewalk on Fair Park as well. So 13.16 miles. The total project cost was $5,394,454. But the city, again, that was a grant through Federal Highway, which is administered through TxDOT, and I believe our cost was somewhere in the $85,000 range for that project. So a lot of great sidewalks, a lot of much-needed sidewalks, and again, tremendous savings in getting those installed due to our partnerships with TxDOT. So the second project is currently in design. It is a 1.44 mile stretch of sidewalk on Loop 499. It goes from Rio Hondo Road to Harrison. It'll be on the west side of the loop there, and we're looking at an August letting. So hopefully that should be under construction here in the next few months. And that one, the estimated cost is $544,711, which the city, I believe, will pay about 20% of that. So again, a lot of good sidewalks. We've been able to partner with people to bring them in at really good savings to the citizens. So another one is the Vela Middle School sidewalk improvement project. So we have partnered with HCISD to kind of build the sidewalk and the bridge there, which will connect, like Mr. Davila said, ultimately from Business 83 down to the Rose Garden Mobile Home Park, which is currently the southern kind of developed area there, adjacent to Vela. So that project has, I guess the key feature is a new pedestrian bridge. And I just wanted to point out, this is not the actual bridge. This is just a kind of the concept. It's not in the ground yet, but this is similar to what it'll look like. It's 120 feet in length, 6 feet in width, and it will go from the top of the bank to the top of the bank. There won't be any intermediate support. So that one is currently being designed by the company that will fabricate it. So, and then the sidewalks that go into Vela, there'll be a little over half a mile to connect those. So those are some of the major projects we have going on right now. We do have some in the pipeline coming up. Texas Water Development Board flood study is probably our one that'll be coming up next. Is it's a $6.2 million flood study of the area, kind of central to Harlingen. There'll be a lot of aspects in it that will study the drainage. We'll get a lot of useful information out of this study. So that's probably the next one coming online. The 2021 street improvement project, that one as well is, we're hopeful to get that out here by the end of the month. And that one, I should have included a graphic. I don't have one on there, but again, it's similar to the one we did here last year. So, and then we have a few other drainage grants that we're working on. The The Jefferson Street one has been moved to an approved status, so we're moving forward with that one. Here, should be going out to look for design services here in the next couple weeks. And then the Business 77, 21st Street, and 5th and 7th Street, we're still working with FEMA to get those shored up. So, and then we talked about the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. So that's really just wanted to touch on a few of our roles, responsibilities, projects, and kind of just kind of introduce ourselves and let you know what we do. Again, we have a staff. I'm the city engineer. We have a deputy city engineer position. We also have the assistant city engineer, Kimberly Salinas, our project control officer who does the inspections, Oscar Ovalle, and we have 2 engineering technicians, Brent Santillan and Julian Cortez. So that is our staff, and that's our presentation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you guys have.
Thank you for everything you do for us, Andy.
Sure, thank you.
All right, Andy, thank you to you and your team for all the work that you do. And you didn't get to subdivisions tonight, but you have a lot of work related to those as well. So we thank you for all that you guys are doing.
Rodrigo,
All right,
I had a
well,
question.
that concludes item 4.
Mayor, I know
5.
that Ron had submitted a citizens communication on item number 4. I don't know, he's in the room. Oh, okay.
Okay, item number, so the next item is item number 6, public hearing to consider an ordinance on first reading for a special use permit to allow food truck in a general retail district located at 1811 West Jefferson Avenue, bearing a legal description of Lot E, Block 1, Central Freight Line, Subdivision Number 1. Applicant is Lynn Zanka.
Mayor, City Commissioners, good evening. This is our first food truck park project. If you remember, the zoning ordinance was amended a few months ago to have a process in place for this. So now we have the first one is on Jefferson Avenue, 1811 West Jefferson. The property is subdivided and is on commercial. And this is the property where it's proposed. I think it was a central freight lines at one point, and so the property is for sale, and the applicants have a purchase contract on the property. And this is the proposed food truck park. This is the existing building. This is where they're proposing to have the restrooms, an open air bar. The blue are the proposed food trucks, a concert stage here and here, parking in the front, on the sides, and in the back, and volleyball and a dog park in the rear. So it's going to be a nice mix of uses. Should be nice entertainment for the Harlingen residents year-round. This is the aerial photo that shows the existing building. They got permission from this property owner for off-site parking, which allowed them more people for the capacity. So there's 45 parking spaces here and 74 parking spaces proposed on-site. That's the off-site parking. Staff recommends approval. Maximum occupancy will be 416 people based on the 119 parking spaces proposed. Must maintain the 119 parking spaces at all time. Must provide the required restroom facilities for the 416 people, which is 3 commodes for men and 5 commodes for women. Must provide adequate lighting to light up the entire property. Video surveillance at 30-day retention. Must comply with the noise ordinance. Must provide an audit after 12 months of operations for the last 1 month by a licensed auditor to show that more than 50% of the total sales are food-related. Must comply with the TABC requirements and requirements from all the different departments. This went before the Planning and Zoning Commission. On May 26, we sent notices to all property owners within 1,000 feet. And no one spoke in opposition to the SUP request. So the commission recommended approval unanimously with a 5-0 vote.
Excuse me, Mayor, Commissioner Uribe stepped out because of a conflict of interest. So he'll be in the executive room until this item is completely discussed.
Okay. All right, so that's very good. Item, so we have a public hearing, but nobody's signed up for the public hearing.
No, ma'am.
I'll call it anyway. Is there, all right, public hearing, I'll open the public hearing. Does anyone like to speak for or against this SUP? You're going to speak for or against the SUP, Mr. Lozano?
Probably neutral on it, Your Honor. I think my question is real simple. The packet indicates that Thursday through Saturday, it can remain open till 2 a.m. Is that correct?
Yes, they gave us hours of operation that we put in the ordinance, correct?
So it's midnight on the other days?
Yes. Hours of operation is Wednesday through Saturday from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. and Sundays from 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. and closed on Mondays and Tuesdays.
Well, I think we got it straight. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Anyone else like to speak for or against this SUP? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. Go to item B, which is consideration of possible action to approve an ordinance on first reading for a special use permit to allow a food truck in the general retail district located at 1811 Jefferson Avenue, bearing legal description lot EU Block 1, Central Freight Line, subdivision number 1. Ask the city attorney to please read the caption.
An ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Harlingen to issue a special use permit to Lynn Zanka to allow a food truck park in a general retail district located at 1811 West Jefferson Avenue and dealing with related matters.
Okay, is there a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. This is a fun project, a really, I think it's going to be a great addition to our city, and thanks to everybody for paving the way to make this
Yes.
happen, and congratulations to Mr. Zanka, and so this ought to be a good entertainment venue for our folks. Item 7, consideration of possible action to prepare and approve an art program for the intersections along Jackson Street.
Mayor, members of the commission, on May 21st, the DID Board of Directors met and agreed to recommend to the commission to approve installation of artwork. They don't have what the artwork concept is going to be like, but they want to try to get that approved before they expend more resources on it. They do have the foundation in place already, so that whatever we do decide could be easily installed. The one thing that we will have to do is get with engineering and with legal to make sure that whatever concept we put up will not block any traffic or side of view. So the board recommended approval, so we are recommending approval of the concept as well. We will come back once the project is finalized and ask for recommendations and approval from the commission on the exact design. Probably should have waited till you got back, Commissioner, before I started my presentation. I'm sorry.
All right, is there are there any questions?
I'll
Is there
make a motion to approve.
Second.
Second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Item 8, consideration of possible action to approve the construction of public restroom in the downtown improvement district area.
Mayor, again, on May 21st, the DID board met and recommended and approved a recommendation to the city commission to look into the possibility of installing a bathroom facility in the DID area. We've discussed this with the city manager. We don't have a location yet, but one of the tasks that I've been assigned is, if the commission approves this, to look for a location within the DID area to actually get this done. We will also look at allocating any funding for this project. The DID board members did get 86 signatures from the DID businesses in favor and in support of the project, so we are recommending that you authorize staff to move forward into looking into a possibility of bathrooms in the DID area.
Okay, any questions about this? Is there a motion to This is a project that's kind of been out there for a long, long time, and just.
It has, Mayor, but I think if we get
Downtown
direction.
Improvement Board is,
Yeah, we don't want to be the streets of San Francisco.
right, okay. Yeah, but is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, that was a motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign, motion carries. And item 9, consideration of possible action to approve the installation of lighting and electrical connections along Centennial Park.
Mayor, again, on May 21st, the DID Board of Directors met and approved the concept of lighting up Centennial Park. They have spoken about getting events hosted in that location, but they can't do it in the evenings because of lack of electricity and lighting. So we have looked at a concept of getting that done. The Parks Director is here also to answer questions about exactly how that would work. So we are recommending authorization of the concept to begin the process of providing electricity and lighting in the Centennial Park area.
Okay,
Motion approved.
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign, motion carries. All right, thank you, Gabe. Item 10, consideration and possible action to approve and authorize city manager to sign an interlocal agreement with the city of Harlingen and the HCISD for the use of 2 school buses for the Parks and Recreation 2021 Summer Recreation Program.
Yes, Mayor, City Commission, this interlocal here, to allow us to use 2 HCISD buses for our summer program. We do this every year, and one thing that legal has reviewed it. They made some changes. The school district has approved the changes, and the corrected version is in front of you. What we did was we took out the indemnification clause, and we created a liability clause, and we got this wording from legal as well. So staff recommends approval.
So we have liability? Or we're taking liability, or?
I think is that correct, Allison, that each entity is having their own liability?
The city is going to insure the buses for the time period and for the duration of their use, and the buses will be insured against damage and liability.
But in the event of a crash or with the kids,
That'll also be covered under our certificate of insurance from TML.
but before we didn't have that? We didn't have to do that?
Well, in years past, we had the indemnification where we, I guess, indemnified, they indemnified us, is that correct? Or we indemnified
No,
this?
what they wanted was for the city to indemnify them. And excuse me, and I struck that provision and instead provided for liability insurance covering the bus and the damages
Thank you.
in the event it's needed.
So one other thing we do is we do pay for the use of the bus, and that is budgeted in our annual budget.
Motion for approval.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Item 11, consideration of possible action to approve a resolution accepting the anticipated Federal Aviation Administration Grant 3-48-0101-067-21 in the amount of $2,878,862, contingent upon the receipt of the FAA grant.
Mayor,
Mark?
I just want to note, he was clean shaven when we started the meeting. Now you know.
Mayor, Commissioners, good evening. Just like to tell you that that the airport staff, airport board has made significant progress on extending the longest runway in the Rio Grande Valley at the Valley's Airport. Over the last year and a half, there was a significant amount of work that went into getting to this point. The cost-benefit analysis that we had to prove to the FAA, an environmental assessment that had to be completed, the finding of no significant impact as well. We're currently in the land acquisition phase that we'll discuss later, and this grant will actually fund the design, planning and design of this project, as well as pay for property that we have to acquire in order to extend the runway. I'm happy to take any questions that you may have.
All right, well, this is an extremely exciting step forward towards accomplishing the goal of extending the runway. Rick Kelly, Valley Morning Star, did a very nice article about the benefits of this, and it's kind of a big deal. So anybody want to accept money from the FAA?
A motion for approval.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Marv, I'm going to go ahead and take up, since I don't think, item 19 is the companion to this, which is the
Yes.
consideration of possible action regarding the purchase of real property for the Valley International Airport runway 17R-35L extension project.
Yes, this is actually three landowners that we had negotiated with a price. The total is 72 acre, a little over 72 acres at $856,000 total. And what we want to do is purchase that property. It requires approval from the City Commission according to the charter. The airport board had made recommendation on May 28th for the City Commission to authorize the purchase of that property.
And the FAA grant that we just approved,
That's correct.
that we just approved has a component of that pays for this, and the FAA has already approved the purchase and the price.
That's correct.
Okay,
Make the motion for approval.
this is the next step in accomplishing the goal. So,
Second.
I have a motion and a second.
motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, motion carries. All right, thank you, Marv.
Thank you.
Item 12 is consideration possible action to approve an ordinance on first reading amending the City of Harlingen budget for fiscal year 2021.
Good evening, Mayor, City Commissioners. This is Budget Amendment number 3 that allocates
Hold on,
funds.
Robert. Robert,
Sorry.
do we need to remove this from the tables, Mayor? It had been tabled the last time.
That's right, sorry about that.
Yes, we need a motion to,
Motion to remove this from item 12 from the table?
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, like sign.
Go ahead, Robert.
I think we're still waiting on,
Oh,
are we waiting on information? Didn't you request information?
it's on 14.
Well,
Wait, is it, which one,
Item 12.
this is on the budget.
The Budget Amendment number 3. We did modify it from the last time we were here, so we did remove the expenditures for the coronavirus relief. We are going to recognize the revenue for it, but defer recording the expenditures until we have the workshop and receive further
okay, so
guidance.
right now, okay, so we're just gonna take it off the table, discuss it, and, right?
We can approve these 3 grant items, revenue and 2 expenditures, and we can add the expenditure portion on the second reading after the workshop.
And
If that's
the workshop
acceptable.
is going to cover the,
The workshop is specifically to talk about the allowable
The
uses of
uses.
the American Rescue Plan funding, the 10.9 million. All we're asking you to do right now is receive the funds so we can account for it. We're not accounting for any expenditures in this budget amendment. So that'll be discussed at the workshop. The city council will give staff direction.
So we're not gonna spend any money or anything, we're just gonna receive it.
We're
This
gonna
is just to receive,
We're
because
just-
we received it on
we're
May
just gonna account
19th.
it. Now, the 1.45 million, that's for additional COVID testing and COVID vaccination. Those, we have been having the clinics out at the convention center. We want to cover those expenses. That's a different grant.
Right.
The 10.9 million associated with the American Rescue Plan, all we're doing is receiving the funds. We're going to talk about how we can use the money on Friday, and then we can bring it back for another budget amendment or before the second reading, once we get direction from the city council of how to expend those funds. In other words, we're not expending any of that money. All he put down in underneath the 10.9 is allowable uses. That's it.
Right.
There are no expenses associated with it.
And those will be further discussed on Friday on the types of uses that it can be used for.
This Friday, right?
This Friday, yes, sir.
And we can't take action on Friday. It's strictly a workshop. But we just wanted some kind of consensus from the city council on what to bring forward so that we can do that at a future meeting.
Okay, so we're motioning to bring it off the table, correct? We have a
I
motion,
think we need
second.
to read the caption first, please.
No, I think he's asking about taking it off the table.
Yeah, we still need to take it.
Did that.
Okay.
But it hasn't been voted.
But we didn't vote.
No, I need the vote.
Yeah, we need to vote. So you have a
All
first and a
those in
second.
I thought we had. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. So like Dan said, this is going to increase our revenues by $12,483,781, mainly for 3 grants. The first of the grants is $1,455,190, which is through the Health Department, and that's to increase the COVID-19 vaccination capacity, and that will help fund the clinics and the staff that are at the clinics. And that is to be spent through June 30th, 2024. The second one is the receipt of the ARPA funds, which we received on May 19th. And that's to help support public expenditure, health expenditures, address negative economic impacts caused by the public health emergency, replace lost public sector revenue, provide premium pay for essential workers, and invest in water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure. And those are just some examples of what the U.S. Treasury has as captions as allowable uses. The third grant is 64904 for the Southwest Border Rural and Tribal Assistance, and that's a PD grant, and that's for the purchase of a K-9 and basic handler courses and some equipment. So that will increase revenues by $12,483,781. Expenditures will be increased by $1,520,094, which is the $1,455,190 for the health grant, which, as you can see, almost $500,000 go in personnel services and benefits, and $674 for the rental of the vaccination clinic.
And again, I know I asked this the last time, these are just city employees, correct? I mean, the reimbursables on the personnel services,
Yes, those are our personnel.
just our personnel.
Right, that's so that we can get reimbursed for our personnel. And then the second expenditure is for the 64904 Southwest Border Rural and Tribal Assistance. So those two, the revenue and the expenditures offset. And like Dan said, we will be discussing at our workshop the possible uses for the $10,968,000. So that is not included in this budget amendment. So just to recap, we will be increasing our revenues by $12,483,781 and our expenditures by $1,520,094. And this is just in the grant awards fund, which is a restricted fund.
Motion for approval.
Second.
Can we read the caption?
Oh, I'm sorry.
An ordinance amending the revenue and expenditure budget for the city of Harlingen, Texas for fiscal year October 1, 2020 through September 30th, 2021. Total budget revenues will increase to $96,045,717, and total budget expenditures will increase to $93,270,508 respectively, ordaining other matters related to the foregoing.
Motion for approval.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign, motion carries. Item 13, consideration possible action to authorize the city manager to pay the ancillary service charges to GEXA as a result of February winter storm event. Gabe?
Mayor, this item was also tabled at the last meeting.
And make a motion to remove it from tabled.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, like sign, the motion
I
carries.
oppose.
Aye.
I'd like to keep it tabled.
Hmm?
I'd like to keep it tabled.
Yeah, can I ask you real quick before, so this is about the 600,
And
This is about the energy.
$49,000?
Yeah, this
Yes.
is about the energy, right?
so,
Yeah, I'd like to keep that table.
okay, so just, so I'm clear on that, where's that money gonna come from? Is it coming from the money that we're going to have the workshop on
No, sir.
Friday?
No, sir.
That's from general fund monies.
It would have to be paid from the general fund balance.
And then,
That is not an allowable use of the $10.9 million.
I'm sorry, did we not vote on removing it from the table?
No.
No.
We
Okay.
did, I
Uh,
heard two
th-
yeses.
And then we had 3 noes. Or 3,
Well, let's just confirm
Keep
it.
it
Is
tabled.
We have a,
There was
we
a
did have,
motion, Mayor, there was a motion by Commissioner Mesmer and seconded by De La Rosa. And then Commissioner Uribe says, I don't want it removed. That's what I heard, but I
So it's a
didn't hear
2-to-1 vote.
So did I.
all right,
To
well,
keep it tabled.
okay, there's we do have a motion and a second to remove it from the table. So if you don't want to remove it from the table, then vote against it.
Against it.
If you do want to remove it from the table, vote for it. All those in favor of the motion to
Quick
remove it
question,
from
I had
the
a quick
table,
question.
say aye.
Why are we tabling it? That's what I'm confused.
The last meeting,
Well-
Commissioner
No, I
Uribe
understand,
asked
I
it to
understand
be
what it's
tabled.
about, but,
We can't really discuss, I don't think we can really discuss it unless we remove it from the table.
okay, okay.
So if you want to discuss it, we have to remove it from the table. You can always table it again after you remove it from the table. But we can't discuss it until we remove it from the table.
Okay.
We did have a presentation from TCAP, and I believe Margaret's still on the line
Well,
to kind of explain what's
we-
on the building.
We have to vote.
All right. All those in favor of removing it from the table, say aye.
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 Okay, those opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so it remains tabled. Item 14, discussion and consideration. Well, let me ask you, do you want to take these up? You want, Commissioner Pettis and Puente, do you want to, no, yeah. Do you want to take these up after the executive session, or do you want to take them up now?
I
I
think,
want the executive session.
yeah,
You have items related to, on the executive session,
right, yeah. So after executive session.
after the executive session?
Yes, sir.
All right, then we'll go to item 16. Are there any board appointments?
I have none, sir.
None.
I do. Okay, I want to nominate Jesse Villarreal to the Parks and Recreation Board. I want to nominate Ida Villarreal to the Senior Advisory Board. I want to reappoint Martin Borjas to the Veterans Advisory Board. And I want to nominate Justin Valdez to the Community Development Board.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve board appointments?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, like sign, motion carries. So item 17 is executive closed session regarding the following items. A, pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.0871 to discuss or deliberate regarding commercial and financial information the city of Harlingen received from a business prospect that the governmental body seeks to have locate, stay, or expand in or near the city of and with which the city is conducting economic development negotiations related to Project Double Stack. B, pursuant to Section 551.072 Government Code, is to deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property regarding 10 acres of real estate located on T Street, just north of Harrison and Harlingen, more commonly known as Harlingen-Peterson Point Block 32. C is moot. Item D, attorney consultation pursuant to Section 551.072 Texas Government Code to provide legal advice in connection with the city's rights, duties, privileges, and obligations regarding the employment agreement between the city manager, Dan Sedman, and the city of Harlingen. E, attorney consultation pursuant to Section 551.074 Texas Government Code to deliberate the employment duties, and other terms and conditions of the employment agreement between the city managers, Dan Sedman, and the city of Harlingen. F, attorney consultation pursuant to Section 551.072 Texas Government Code to provide legal advice in connection with the legally required processes and procedures to initiate a city charter amendment under Texas law and related legal matters. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
All those in favor, do we get a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign, motion carries. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be in executive session discussing matters with our attorney. There is action, possible action that could be taken after the executive session. item, we are out of executive session at 8:44 PM. We go to item 18, which is consideration of possible action regarding the provision or approval of economic incentives to Project Double Stack. Is there, I think we're going to table that. Is there a motion to table?
A motion to table.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against.
Opposed, like sign. All right, the motion carries.
You took 19.
Okay, go back to item 14, which is discussion, consideration, possible action, if appropriate, to amend the existing contract between the City of Harlingen and the city manager. We have a citizen comment.
In today's AIM periodicals, they mentioned that Donna has brevity, and sometimes items like number 12 and 13 also. But getting back to 14, the same newspaper indicated that obviously Texas is a foremost at-will state probably in the nation. And obviously that just means that an employee can quit, but the city has the same prerogative. And our Constitution, the city charter, which has been bandied about a lot the last year, clearly agrees with the mayor that 3 concurring votes can hire or fire a city manager. The paramount level of the charter is the basis for refuting suggestions that the degree of a crime is the basis of employment. Further, as noted, the charter only permits the mayor a vote in the case of a tie. No veto power over 3 commissioners is mentioned anywhere in the document. We either follow our charter or become scofflaws. Thank you.
Okay, so item 14, what are the wishes of the commission?
No action, Mayor. There's just no action. Is that?
No action? Okay. All right. Item 15, discussion, consideration, possible action, if appropriate, to amend the Harlingen City Charter to create term limits for the city commission and mayor. Lozano, you going to speak on this?
I know.
Okay.
No action.
No action on this item, Mayor. No action on this item.
No action?
Not
All
this time.
Then I believe that's all of the items. Am I right, Amanda? Okay, then we're completed the agenda and we are adjourned. Thank you all very much. Good night.